Words and Music is about songs, and it's about songwriters, people with stories to tell and the gift to make us believers. This week's guests are Dan and Jesse from the always fun-loving, beer-drinking Grease Monkeys, Rambler 454. Words and Music, if we believe the singer, we'll believe the song. Rambler 454 will never be mistaken for a band that actually cares what you think about them or their music. It says on their website that they stand for laziness, spontaneity, and rambling, but there's a little more to it than that. They just want to hang out at the corner bar, play some music, and have a good time. Dan and Jesse, welcome to Words and Music.
Thank you for having us.
So Rambler 454, where'd that come from?
We were just trying to come up with names for the band when we formed, and we were going with a whole car theme and everything, so we just thought we got to think of a funny name, so we came up with I thought it would be humorous to take the biggest Chevy engine and throw it in the smallest car we could think of, Rambler 454, so there you have it.
That thing would scream right off the line.
Oh yeah. If the back end would sit down, I'm sure it'll probably lift up.
The wheels would stop spinning.
Right.
So, not to mention the tie-in, you know, with the word Rambler in it, and you know, the kind of style of music we do tends itself to like road traveling music, you know, the kind of stuff if you're on a long road trip, you can pop it in and roll down the window, maybe light up a cigarette or something, and just, you know, take in the scenery, kind of.
Right, because you guys are pretty much of a, you know, your music in a lot of ways is kind of retro. I was about ready to use the word throwback, but you guys aren't throwbacks. But
We're not, I don't think we know what that means.
you never left.
Right, exactly.
Throwback I haven't heard of. Throw up.
That's
Well,
usually the day after.
But it's pretty much rock music that's fueled by country and, you know, trucker hats.
And beer.
And beer.
And beer.
And beer.
And
forget about
occasional
that.
whiskey.
Right.
That's if we're in Chicago, but that's all.
Right. So the trucker theme and the car theme has pretty much fueled your activities since then.
But strangely enough, we don't have any songs about cars. So.
Well, maybe we could write one
Well,
tonight.
maybe we
We
could.
could definitely work on that.
Well, how did the band get together?
How did we get together? I don't think all three of us, all of our bands kind of were disintegrating all around the same time. And I had a bunch of songs that I wanted to record just for no other reason than just to listen to at home or whatever. And I talked to Cooter, because he and I played in a band before together. And he's got a studio, so we kind of got together that way. And I said if he knew any drummers, let him know, or let me know. And he mentioned this fella over here. So
It was my understanding. It wasn't ever any, there was no intention of ever having a band.
Right.
Basically, what it was
Okay.
is Cooter had come to me and he'd said, "Hey, I got this friend Dan. He's got all these songs, and he just likes, you know, he wants to have a band so we can like lay down like a little demo thing and record them." So I was thinking, you know, we'll just get together one afternoon, we'll do that, and then
Have some
that's that.
beers
Yeah, and then
and
we're done, you know.
Okay.
And then, you know, I don't know. Next thing I know, we're like playing gigs and stuff, and it kind of happened out of nowhere. So.
Well, when was that? How long is...
2001, 2002.
Oh, so you guys have been around for a little while.
Yeah.
A little while, yeah.
Yeah.
Enough to get to gel and actually get cohesive and dangerous at the same
Oh, I
time.
thought you
Right.
said to get to jail.
Yeah.
Get to jail. I'm sorry.
We try
Gel.
to keep one of us out at any one
Right.
time. That way they can
Right.
get the other two out. Of
That's
jail,
a
but-
that's a smart move.
Well, you know.
So it's planning. Business. It's a
Absolutely.
business part of your business plan,
Exactly.
And there's that envelope, you know, in the dash compartment of the van, you know, for bail, just in case. You know.
Okay.
We try not to take out of it, you know, when we need gas or beer.
Try
but,
not to.
you know.
Try is the operative word
Right.
there. We,
Right.
yeah.
As long as one guy can be cool and blow low, as they say.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, what kind of bands were you in before Rambler 454?
I played in just rock and roll bands in high school. I was in a punk band, and when I got to college, I was in a rock and roll band. We got lumped in with the jam band scene, even though we weren't really a jam band, but we were more along the lines of extended Tom Petty-ish jams. So.
Right. 16 bars rather
Yeah, exactly.
than 116.
Right, exactly. So.
I've done, you know, everything from like I was in a lounge group here in town for a while.
What do you mean by lounge?
Well, the band was called the Buddy Love Combo. Basically, what we would do is we'd take off like a, you know, Sinatra, Dean Martin kind of vibe, but take new songs and do it that way.
Okay.
But there was never any intention of you know, it being like a serious like jazz thing. Like you didn't have to be. The singer wasn't very good, let's put it that way. So, and that was part of the shtick, you know. It's just that he was not a great singer. You know, we were doing like Keep 'Em Separated as a bossa nova, and he's a bad singer. He's dressed up in like thrift store suit, and he's out there, you know, doing all this stuff like "How's your cocktail, sir?" kind of. Yeah,
Kind of like the Bill Murray thing from Saturday Night Live.
Exactly, like when he makes up the words to the theme songs from Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know?
Star Wars.
Right.
Okay.
So we were doing that. Played in a couple rock bands here, and even like did some experimental out like jazz stuff when I was living in Boston.
Okay. That's a far cry from what you're doing now, laying it down.
Yeah, keeping it real.
What?
In the hood.
In the hood.
How you doing?
What about Cooter? What kind of musical influences has he had?
He pretty much.
He's not here to, you know,
Yeah, so
tell
we
you.
could pretty just say
He's been
pretty
in
much
like,
say anything.
yeah, the pop rock.
Mhm.
He was in World in a Room there for a while, which was pretty big in Cleveland
Yeah.
in the early '90s or so.
Yep.
So he's influenced from more of the pop side of things.
Well, it sounds like everything that you've done has been totally, you know, different than what you're doing now. What made Rambler 454? I mean, you guys are kind of like beer-fueled, gut bucket, set the band up in the corner of the jukebox with the jukebox kind of an
I
outfit.
think sometimes people want to hear the jukebox more than us, but that's,
But you have songs on the jukebox.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think of the songs that Dan, you know, had written, lended themselves to, you know, that kind of blue collar rock kind of vibe, and it was we just kind of like embraced it, and you know, ended up just kind of hanging out and realizing that, you know, we were doing this for fun, and like, you know, we don't need to be so serious, so we don't need to like practice or anything like that.
It's overrated.
It really is overrated.
So, you know, sometimes we'll show up and we're supposed to practice, and we'll go play like what, 2 songs, and we'll say, "Yeah, where are we drinking tonight?" And we'll just
Yeah.
go out and have some beers, hang out. This is my way of looking at it. Is like, you know, it's more like my equivalent of poker night. I don't play poker, so this is my excuse to go out
Social
with the
night.
boys,
Yeah.
have some drinks, you know, have some laughs, and yeah.
Okay.
It was kind of funny. It was actually about the second time we got together. We actually started recording. So I mean, even though we are coming from different places, we all gelled pretty quickly, I think. I mean, that first practice, I still remember. I was like, okay, enough of this recording project crap. We need to make this a band because this is just too much fun, you know.
Right.
Well, that's cool.
And the cool thing is, we're still having fun. At least I am. You're still having fun. I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Let's talk about the songs themselves. I mean, you've been a songwriter then for quite a while because you had a batch of songs before, you know, these,
Yeah.
before the band.
Yeah.
Where do the songs come from? What drives you to write a song?
You know, honestly, I don't think I even know. It just kind of comes out of thin air sometimes. I could just be cutting the grass or something like that, and a melody will pop in my head, or words or whatever, and I'll have to write it down. And,
What comes first, the words or melody, or?
I used to have like my own little formula where I would just fiddle around with the guitar till I found a bunch of chords that I liked together, and then I would just kind of write off of that. But now it's just like I could be just at home eating cheese doodles in my underwear, something will pop in my head, and I'll.
That
just
is
have to
not
write
a
it
song
down.
title.
No, it's not. Well, it could be. It may be on the
For
new
your
album,
band,
we
it
don't
could
know.
be.
Yeah. But I can't explain how songwriting happens. It just happens, you know. Something. I mean, I could hear a song on the radio, and that'll get me thinking, and I want to try and write something like that, or just anything. I mean, it just comes out of nowhere sometimes, you know. The way I look at the way songwriting goes for me is it's kind of like a wave. I usually get a bunch of songs filling up my head at one time, and then slowly but surely it tapers off, and I don't have anything for a while. But usually it's enough to sustain us for a few gigs, and an album or an EP or something like that. So, but I don't have any kind of set way that I do it.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, like
You're
falling
wrong.
asleep in the van in Pennsylvania at like 4 o'clock in the morning and waking up in New Jersey 11 hours later, I think that inspired at least one song, right?
Well, I think that was from the exhaust fumes that were leaking into the van, but all the road stories we have. We may just have to do a whole double album like that, I think.
Well, speaking of road stories, you got a song called Passing Lane. What's
Yeah.
that about?
Cooter wrote that one, actually. He's a different kind of songwriter. He writes constantly. I mean, he's just got volumes and volumes of songs. And
But you're the guy who delivers them.
yeah, basically. Yeah. I'm the mayor. No.
I'm really important, aren't I?
He just has so many songs that it's just overwhelming to listen to them all at one time, because he'll just give me a CD with like 20 songs on it. It's like, geez. And then with the ones that I write, so we just try to find a happy middle ground, basically. But he wrote Passing Lane. He and I have one thing that we have in common is the fact that we like writing songs about traveling. You know, we have a song called Working Band, which is about bands that are on the road. You know,
I need a traveling
band. But Passing Lane is just kind of, you know, just a song about getting in a car and just driving and seeing what you see, just looking around, and I guess that kind of adds to the Americana image that sometimes gets put on to our band. So.
Well, let's find the keys and hit the ignition and
Let's
see what
we can
happens.
do here. Don't believe everything you read on the highway side. Jesus saves and John loves, and good food another 2 miles. From the Garden State to the Golden Gate, it's all up for interpretation. This black and tan twisted line is its own alienation. And to the north is Lake Erie, and to the south are open farms. I'm finding my way, passing lane, driver side to any place. I'm finding my way, passing lane, driver side to any place. Walking on an overpass, carrying fishing poles. I used to be a kid on the overpass, wondering where those cars go. Got the city spinning, then and Tupelo. Just ways of keeping time. I bet those 2 kids are gonna leave this town as soon as they learn how to drive. And to the west is the sunset, is the glow of the truck stop. My way, passing lane, driver side to any place. I'm finding my way, passing lane, driver side to any place. When you grow up in a small town, just wanna roll. I got to say, when I got to the highway, it felt most like home. Shops up, there is a girl who's gonna change the world. Guitar on her shoulder with a thumb in the air.